All right, this is Pre-Algebra lesson 9.1, Introduction to Geometry. You know how to do this. You've done this in the past. This is absolutely nothing new. This is a review. I'm just going to show you again how to do it. It's really nothing. This next chapter, there's not a lot of arithmetic. It's just a matter of can you wrap your brain around what they're asking you to do. Okay. In geometry, you have some things you need to know, some foundations, some cornerstones. Okay, this right here, this thing right here is a point. Okay, that is called a point. A point is a location in space. It's just a location. It takes up no room. A point does not occupy any space whatsoever. We have to draw it so that we can see it, but in reality, it takes up no space. It's a point in space that you go, oh, how wide is that? The answer is 0. It doesn't take up any space. Does that make sense? Okay. One thing that they do is they label points, like that would be point A, and to show point A, if I was to point an arrow right there and say, explain that point to me, you would simply put A. It's A. That's how you write point A. It's just A. Okay? If I were to do this, though, and draw, and have this be point B, okay, and then I drew this, just like you've been doing. That right there is a line. What makes it a line? What makes it a line?
Goes on forever.
Goes on forever, both directions, right? Both directions, forever, never ending. That's what a line is, okay? And you would label this line AB. Now, could you do it line BA? Sure. We're going to do it in alphabetical order always. Otherwise, I have to give you 2 answers every time we correct papers. And I'm not doing that. So you will put it in alphabetical order, or it's wrong. Do you all understand? Because I'm not going to repeat every possible combination every time we do this. Okay? And this is the way it works. You actually draw the arrow on top like that. That right here shows line AB. There's an arrow on top going both directions, line AB. If I wanted to just have the distance between A and B, and wasn't a line, it was just the spot that is between A and B. That's it. That's called line segment AB, and you draw it like this. That's line segment. That is not a line. That is a segment. That one has a very clear beginning and a very clear end, right? So that is line segment AB. Could you put line segment BA? Yes. Will I mark you wrong?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But this is line segment BA as well as AB, but we're not doing that. We're doing it in alphabetical order. Okay. What happens if I have this? It is starts at one of the points, goes through another point. Here, this is important. This is called a ray. Okay, this is called a ray. Like a ray of light, right? A ray. It goes one direction. Here's the deal. Here's how it works. Okay. This is ray AB, and you do draw it like that because it does go from A to B. We're starting at A. This is not ray BA. Ray BA is actually going that direction because the first letter in the ray is where it starts, and then the second letter is what it's going through. Does that make sense? So this right here is ray AB. If I was to go like this, this is ray BA. And you do have to draw it like that. You cannot put in alphabetical order. If you put ray A, B, you're talking about a completely different way. You're talking about it going down and to the right. We are not. This thing is going from B up to A and then forever that direction. Does that make sense? When you're talking about a ray, the order of the letters actually matters. Does that make sense? Right? Is any of this brand new to anybody? You should have been doing this since like what, 4th, 5th grade? Okay. There is really nothing else to do here other than I'll give you this. Okay. If I was to ask you to name 4 points, if I asked you to name 4 points, Gigi, name a point. W is a point. What's another point, Lauren? T. And then there's H and there's K, right? You have those 4 points that are on here. I have a question. Is that thing right there a point? No. Yeah, it is. It is. There's a point there. I just didn't label it. Does that make sense? I mean, there is a point there. I just didn't label it. So usually what they're talking about, they're always talking about what has been labeled for you. Does that make sense? Let me show you something else. Name a line segment. Name for me a line segment, Jade. I want you to name for me a line segment, Jack.
TW.
TW. And you would write it as TW because in alphabetical order, that's how you'd put it. You would put TW like that. That is one of the line segments. That's what you'd write. Name another line segment.
KT.
KT is a line segment. That's talking about this little spot right here, right? Line segment KT. Name another.
HT.
HT is another segment. What's another one?
KW.
KW is one. Now, I have a question. Let's talk about this. Is there a line segment WH, or I should say HW? Is there a line segment HW?
No.
Yeah, there is. I just didn't draw it. Does that make sense? If I was to say, show me line segment HW, what would you do? You would draw it. There's line segment HW. Does that make sense? They didn't draw you line segment HW. And so they're clearly talking about the line segments they've drawn here, but there is a line segment HW. Does that make sense? Okay.
So then there's also
K. There's a KH. Yeah, absolutely. HK. Okay. What about this? What about I said name 5? Name some. Name a ray. Name one of the rays, Gigi. TK is a ray, and that would go from right here, that direction, right? That would be, so you'd go TK is a ray. Now, is it okay that you don't have it in order, in alphabetical order? Absolutely, because there's totally different things, right? Name a different ray. TW is a ray, absolutely. TW is a ray. Notice that my arrow always goes to the right. It just does.
Okay.
That's the truth. When you're drawing it on paper, when you're giving me the answer, the arrow always goes to the right. What else? Name another one. TH. What else? And then what else is there?
HW.
8. Nope. You wouldn't write that.
Oh, KW.
You would do KW is, well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So KW is one. What's the difference between the ray KW and ray KT? What is the difference between those two rays? Let's look at it. What is the difference between ray KW and ray KT? What's the difference, Jack?
Nothing.
There's no difference. Here's the reason. Look, let's take KW. KW is a ray that goes like that, right? And could I have drawn the line longer? Could it go out to here? I mean, isn't it still a ray? It still goes forever that direction, right? Okay, well, what about KT? What's the difference between that and... It's still a ray that goes forever that direction, right? So ray KT and ray KW are the same ray. Make sense? They are the same. What?
How come when you do HW, why can't you do that as a ray?
Because it's not there. It didn't show it to you.
Okay.
I'm telling you there is one. Just like there's one right here with a point right here. There's a ray there too, and there's also one here, and it could go here. And there's also a ray right here, and there's also a ray right here. There's also a ray. Right? I mean, how many rays are there?
Infinite.
An infinite number all the time, always. But obviously, they're talking about what they've given us.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense? Okay. Good. Okay. Give me this just because, I want you to write for me or tell me line TW. What are some other names I'm not saying that I would accept on your homework, but what are some other names for line TW?
Line WT.
WT would be one. What else?
WK.
WK would be one. TK would be one.
HT.
No, HT is not the same as line TW, right? Line TW, no, line TW is this line right here. It's actually this line, right? Don't you agree? It's that. So what are other ways that I could write that and it would still be talking about the same exact line? GG. KW would be one, right? KW would be one, right? TK would be one. KT would be one. WK would be, do you see what I'm saying? All of those are still talking about the same exact, what? Line. What makes it a line again? Goes forever. How many directions? Both. Okay. Now here's the deal. Let's talk about this one. I'm going to give you this. Here we're going to draw this. That didn't look so good. Okay, we're going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, right. G, H. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, parallel lines. Lines that,
Are parallel.
what does that mean? That they,
Side by side.
not side by side. Listen, these two lines here are side by side. Are they parallel? No. So parallel lines are lines that
Each other on the same slope.
never what? They never cross, right? Here's the deal. It's very important. They are lines that never cross. They also have to be on the same plane. When we draw our, on our coordinate plane like this, right? And we have a line that goes like this and a line that goes like that. They are on the same plane. In other words, if there was a piece of paper, I lay the piece of paper down, they're on the same plane, they never cross. Those are parallel lines. Just like on this object here, look at A, B, C, D, right? A, B, C, D. That's the same thing that's right here. It's like one side of that box, right? One wall of that box. Okay, that's all on the same plane, right? It's a flat plane. Can you name for me a couple of parallel lines on A, B, C, D there? What about B? So line BC and line AD. Do you see that those are parallel?
Yes.
Do you see what I'm talking about? BC here and AD are parallel. This is how you write it. Parallel, you draw like that. Okay, this is saying line BC is parallel to line AD. Do you understand? Make sense? Okay. Name two other sets of parallel lines or another set of parallel lines on ABCD. Jade?
DC and AB.
So DC is parallel, line DC is parallel to line AB. And you should put CD, right? Just because to put it in order, right? But that is also true. Agreed? Yes, Jack?
So, should we put like the AB before the CD?
Don't care. What about this, though? What about, do you see that there is also the line, what about this? Is line AD, is that parallel to line EH? Look at it.
Yes.
And they are parallel to each other. They're parallel to each other on what plane? The top, right? You see the top of the box?
Is that a P or a D?
Whatever, Jade. It's not a P, obviously. There's no P here, so it couldn't possibly mean P, right? Couldn't mean it. Do we all see that line EH and line AD are parallel? Can you visualize it? Okay. The reason why they are parallel is because they never touch, and they're also on the same plane. Okay. What about this? Is line AB, is it parallel with line BC?
No.
Why not?
They intersect.
They intersect. That's the good word I'm looking for. They intersect. If two lines intersect, they cannot be parallel because that means that they touch, right? Line AB and line BC, they touch at that corner, right? We all see that? Excellent. I'm going to show you another set of lines, and you tell me if they are parallel or not. So we have line EH and line AB. Are they parallel? EH and line AB. Are they parallel? No. Why not? They don't touch.
They're not on the same plane.
They're not on the same plane. One of them is right here, and the other one is right here, right? This thing goes forever this direction. This one goes forever. They still don't touch. Those are a special type of lines called skew. They are skew lines, okay? Lines that don't touch but are not on the same plane, right? They miss, but they're not on the same. Those are called skew lines. Does that make sense? Skew lines. Okay? Okay, I think we're good. Let me give you guys your homework. All right. Page 461 to 462, 1 through 37.